Last time on Top 20 NetNavis. And let's move on.
Math was always my best subject in...
Nobody said that!
No!
Thanks for that. So, where were we again?
Number Man.
Oh yeah, that's right. Number Man may look like a derp to some people, but he's not only a fun boss to fight, but also a fun character.
Number Man is the Navi of Higsby, a man who has an obsession with battle chips. In fact, while his first appearance is as a World 3 agent implementing a brainwashing scheme at school, it's revealed after his defeat that he only joined because he was promised rare chips in exchange for his services.
Following their defeat, Higsby and Number Man turn over a new leaf, opening up a chip shop in AC/DC Town. You'll most likely be visiting this place quite a bit throughout the series, especially in later games when he implements the custom order catalog. Higsby is also responsible for setting up the chip traders throughout the games, and Number Man himself is willing to sell you his wares on occasion.
Aside from his boss battle in the first game, you fight Number Man again in Battle Network 4 Blue Moon after helping save Higsby's shop from being bought out, as well as in Battle Network 5 Team Colonel, where his role runs parallel to Searchman. And now we get to his battle. As you'd expect, every aspect of his battle style relates to math.
And we mean everything. From a dice bomb which hits for damage based on the result of the roll, to numbered orbs which dictate how much damage they can take, to time bombs, to attacking with set squares and number traps, this Navi's math obsession clearly shows. It all adds up to a genuinely fun battle.
Number Man also gives players arguably the most useful double soul in the series, Number Soul. Activated with the sacrifice of a plus chip, Number Soul gives you a Dice Bomb charge shot and powers up all non-elemental attack chips like Gut Soul does. But the reason Number Soul is so useful is the fact that as long as it's active, your custom screen capacity is expanded to a whopping 10 chips. As you can probably guess, this increases your battle possibilities by a significant margin.
There is just a lot to love about Number Man. Great personality, great battle, great story, helpful throughout the series, and his design certainly fits the motif. And it only gets better from here. What is a MegaMan? A miserable little pile of data! But enough talk! It's time for one of the big ones. Shade Man. Now this is a vampire that actually looks threatening. The Shade Man in Mega Man 7 resembled the Hammer horror flicks, but his Battle Network incarnation went full-on Castlevania. But his role in the games is what puts him this high.
Shade Man first appears in Battle Network 4 as an agent of Nebula, causing chaos in Den City and kidnapping Roll. When you first face him, your attacks prove useless until Proto Man forces him to retreat, leaving behind a dark chip which proves to be the catalyst of Mega Man's potential descent into darkness.
Eventually, he appears again in the Castillo amusement park, demanding the return of the Dark Chip, and claiming its power has already begun to corrupt Mega Man. Of course, being the trooper that he is, Mega Man destroys the Dark Chip. Or so he thinks. In the midst of what appears to be another hopeless battle, the Dark Chip appears in Lan's folder, and Lan and Mega Man are forced to use it to delete Shade Man. Thus begins a slope that is ultimately as slippery as you make it. For the record, this is the only time I have ever used a Dark Chip.
Unfortunately, it isn't until the post-game that you finally get a chance to face Shade Man properly. During the battle, he can split up into bats to avoid further damage. He can also send out homing bats, sonic waves, and slash you with his powerful claws. It's a tough fight, but worth it, especially if you can keep the mystery data intact. He also maintains these strategies when he returns as a Darkloid in Battle Network 5.
And here is where Kojima comes back. As we mentioned before, his son was a fan of Battle Network, and while there isn't a Metal Gear crossover in the series, there is a crossover with Boktai, another Kojima franchise. In the post-game of Battle Network 4, there's a scenario where Mega Man and Django, the protagonist from Boktai, use the PileDriver to purify Shade Man. Not only that, but the Gundel Soul Chips appear in this series from this point as well.
This crossover was even further expanded in Battle Network 5 and Boktai 2 Solar Boy Django. Not only is Shade Man an optional boss in the latter, but the two games share a crossover battle. Also, in the Double Team remake for the DS, a player can gain access to Soul Cross Mega Man by inserting a Boktai game in the GBA cartridge slot.
Ultimately, Shade Man's impact on Mega Man Battle Network is too great to be ignored. Too bad it didn't help sales of Boktai in the US. I would have loved to see the crossover continue on our side of the Pacific. Number 3 on our list may surprise you. Heck, it actually surprised us. Why is that, you ask? Well, it's Roll.
We can already imagine the weird looks we must be getting right now, but Roll makes us smile so much that we couldn't resist putting her on our list. She's just so likable both as a NetNavi and as a character. As a Navi of Lan's childhood friend Mail, she pretty much serves as both the supporter and a love interest for MegaMan.
Roll is doing whatever she can to help MegaMan, even though it sometimes lands her in hot water, such as during the bus hijacking incident in Battle Network 1 and the environmental crisis in Battle Network 2. In these cases, it's always MegaMan to the rescue. That's not to say that Roll's always the damsel in distress. Far from it, in fact. In the aforementioned games, Mail and Roll are there to help Lan and MegaMan in the final stages of the game.
But our respect for Roll skyrocketed in Battle Network 4 Red Sun. In this version of the game, Mail and Roll enter the Eagle Tournament as a potential opponent. During the scenario, Roll gets kidnapped by an admirer. When MegaMan goes to save her, he questions her motivation for competing. Needless to say, this kinda rubs her the wrong way.
Roll escapes by charming the viruses guarding her, and then challenges MegaMan to a game of tag of all things. Eventually, the real match begins and... holy crap!
This goes without saying, but Roll is anything but ordinary in this fight. Any signs of being a damsel in distress are completely gone, and she is playing to win. Throughout the battle, she dances around the arena using her antenna to attack you, summon viruses, and most shocking of all, shoots an arrow that can break your battle chips. Wow! It almost makes us wonder why we haven't gotten to fight her more often.
Of course, once the battle's over, we learn that Mail entered the tournament hoping to impress a certain special someone. And if you can't figure out who it is, you probably haven't been paying attention. It's also in this scenario where you earn Roll Soul. At the cost of a recovery chip, MegaMan gains the power to regain 10% of his health when he uses a non-recovery chip, as well as a charge shot which breaks battle chips. The recovery alone makes it useful in single player, and the addition of the chip-breaking arrow makes it borderline broken in multiplayer.
But the best thing about Roll is her Navi chip. We haven't brought those up until now, but this one warrants special mention. Roll is one of the only Navis whose chips are obtained in every game in the series, and for good reason. Not only can this chip damage the enemy, but it also helps you recover. Needless to say, this comes in handy, and is one of the most useful Navi chips in the whole series.
In the end, Roll may look cute, but behind that exterior lurks the heart of a real contender, giving me even more reason to be careful around women.
TMI, Adam.
When I brought up Mega Man 7 and all the unjustified hate it gets, I mentioned that it had a mostly solid lineup of Robot Masters. What I didn't mention, however, was the introduction of Mega Man's new rival, Bass.
Portrayed as essentially Wily's answer to Mega Man, Bass was cocky, powerful, and driven to defeat Mega Man and prove that he was the strongest of all robots, even going as far as to turn on his own creator. It wasn't long before he became a fan-favorite character, and many fans knew that he would return for Battle Network.
Question is, did he do the original justice? Duh! Bass was already awesome in the classic series, but in Battle Network, they cranked him up to freaking 15. Not only does his design look absolutely menacing and downright badass, but his final form is always the strongest enemy in every game in the series, including spin-offs.
Fighting Bass at his best is always a challenge. Throughout the series, he boasts high HP and a veritable smorgasbord of fast and powerful attacks. In the first game, his attacks consisted mainly of energy shots, but as the series wore on, he gained more and more moves. including the earth-shattering punch, powers gained from the Gospel Virus Beast in Battle Network 3, and even darker powers from Battle Network 4 and beyond.
These dark powers include Dark Arm Blades, Wheels of Dark Energy, and the devastating Darkness Overload attack, which is essentially a Dark Spirit Bomb. No, really, that's basically what it is. What's more, in Battle Network 6, he uses Battle Chip-like attacks and can even harness the power of the Psy Beasts. And not only are his offensive capabilities extremely high, but he boasts a powerful defense as well. Up through Battle Network 3, he possessed a life aura capable of repelling attacks that did less than 100 damage, and it could regenerate. In 4, 5, and 6, his cape was even capable of blocking attacks. And if you really want to know how powerful his attacks are, Base Cross MegaMan. So satisfying!
Of course, there's much more to Base than just being a super boss. As it turns out, Base is also an effective antagonist whose personality was fleshed out well throughout the series. In Battle Network 2, the goal of the Gospel Net Mafia is to create clones of Base by fusing bugs together. Not only does this fail, it also draws the ire of the real Base. But it isn't until Battle Network 3 when we truly get to know this terrifying Navi.
As it turns out, Base was a Navi created by a scientist named Kazak as an experimental Navi with the ability to copy the abilities of other programs, and therefore, no need for an operator. However, when a rash of malfunctions occurred around the net, Base was blamed for it, and was attacked within an inch of his life. The cause of the malfunctions was actually Alpha, an entity described as the Primal Internet.
After barely surviving the attack, Base roamed the Undernet, with only his Get ability program and his growing hatred for humanity keeping him alive. Eventually, Wily uses hatred to his advantage to lure Base onto his side in order to awaken Alpha. And even though Base was swallowed up by Alpha, he managed to survive and fuse with the Gospel Virus Beast. Also, remember the Navi that Serenade fought? Yeah, that Navi was Base. The fact that Base could survive being defeated by such a powerful Navi and still become stronger only further proves how dangerous he truly is.
In the end, Base is a total package. A superb challenge as a boss, a well-developed antagonist, and just an awesome character after all. And for those of you who disagree, this is our list. And all your Base
Do not finish that sentence.
And we're done here!
Now I know what you're all thinking. If Base is number 2, then who could beat him? Well, we'll tell you, but first we need to recap.
Number 20, Desert Man.
Number 19, Medi.
Number 18, Quick Man.
Number 17, Tomahawk Man.
Number 16, Judge Man.
Number 15, Search Man.
Number 14, Cut Man.
Number 13, King Man.
Number 12, Toad Man.
Number 11, Fireman.
Number 10, Guts Man.
Number 9, Colonel.
Number 8, Dark Man.
Number 7, Serenade.
Number 6, Shadow Man.
Number 5, Number Man.
Number 4, Shade Man.
Number 3, Roll.
And number 2, Base. So, Proto Man?
Proto Man. Of all the decisions we've made in making countdowns, this was one of the hardest. But ultimately, we decided that Proto Man deserves the number 1 spot over Base. He's almost as synonymous in the series as MegaMan himself, and he's garnered a huge amount of respect from anyone who's played even one of the games in this branch of the MegaMan franchise.
Let's start with his design. By combining aspects of the original Proto Man from the classic series with elements of Zero from the X series, the designers managed to give this Proto Man his own unique identity. It truly gives off the impression of a cool-headed and fierce warrior, suiting his personality perfectly.
Also, fighting Proto Man always feels like a true battle of equals. He carries a shield which he can use to block your attacks, sometimes even countering them with his own. And not only that, but his sword skills are second to none in this series. As a result of his extensive training, Proto Man has mastered a plethora of techniques ranging from basic sword attacks like wide and long range slashes, to advanced skills like shockwaves and cross slashes, to his signature move, the devastating Delta Ray Edge, a 3-hit combo that can absolutely ravage the opponent. Fighting him always feels like a genuine challenge, and he can never be taken lightly if you want to win.
But the biggest reason that Proto Man is number 1 is the role he plays in the Battle Network series. Proto Man and his operator Chod are the rivals of Lan and MegaMan throughout the series. Chod is an ace official net battler who functions a lot like a cyberworld police officer. As such, his skills are among the best of any operator. In fact, the officials consider him their best, and rightfully so, because Proto Man is capable of defeating enemy navis in mere seconds, even without Chod's guidance, due to his extensive training. In fact, Chod's been known to train with Proto Man for literally hours a day.
Given his position and his reputation, Chod is supremely confident in both his skills and in Proto Man's ability, and he takes his duties very seriously. Because of this confidence and his abilities, he initially sees Lan and MegaMan as little more than annoyances. However, as they battle throughout the series, Chod comes to recognize and respect Lan both as a rival and as a friend, and it shows in how the two net battlers interact. This respect can be further shown through Proto Soul, which gives MegaMan a reflecting shield, a wide sword charge shot, and the ability to charge a sword chip to perform a double damage step sword.
However, this development truly comes to fruition in Battle Network 5. In the Team Proto Man version of the game, Chod leads the Anti-Nebula Corps, and Lan is the very first person he calls to join the team, because he knows by now that Lan is more than capable of getting the job done. Together, they gather up powerful allies to combat Nebula. However, after the liberation of Scilab, MegaMan is captured and corrupted by Nebula.
In order to save MegaMan, Chod decides to allow Lan to use a special NetNavi. Having fought side by side with MegaMan for so long, however, Lan at first refuses, but soon realizes that there's no other way to save his partner. Lan ultimately accepts Chod's offer. That special NetNavi that which Chod entrusts Lan is Proto Man. After 4+ games of squaring off with this magnificent rival, Chod has placed his trust in Lan and allowed him to use Proto Man's power to save MegaMan, and this is the point that puts Proto Man at number 1. Unlike the rest of the NetNavis on this countdown, you as the player feel the experience of controlling the very NetNavi that has become not only your rival, but also your respected ally and friend.
This sign of trust between net battlers hit home for both of us unlike anything else in the series. Just the fact that Chod and Proto Man are willing to believe in Lan is something truly special. While it is true that Beryl and Colonel fill the same role in their respective version, these characters were only introduced in that game. Chod and Proto Man, on the other hand, we've known from the very first game, and this moment is so much more meaningful because of it.
When it comes down to it, there's almost nothing we can say bad about Proto Man. He's an excellent rival, a well-developed character, and a powerful boss, and the feeling you get when playing as him feels like nothing else in the series.
Like we said, it was incredibly hard to decide between Proto Man and Base, but we feel that the connection between MegaMan and Proto Man ultimately gives Proto Man the decisive edge, making him the #1 greatest NetNavi in MegaMan Battle Network.
I am the Green Scorpion.
I'm the Quarter Guy.
And Capcom,
Please,
don't make a Battle Network 7!